Hi, welcome to House and Home Chat Real Estate Real Talk with Dina and Chris. I'm Chris Breitenbach.
And I'm Dina Mathis. Hi, everybody. Welcome to our program today. We're excited to be chatting it up about a new and unique local business here. It's called the Hangout Group, and it was founded and run by a local Mason resident.
Yeah, and then after in the Real Talk section, we're going to focus on a very real estate related topic, and that is disclosures, and mainly the Ohio residential property disclosure that as a seller, you need to share with any of your potential buyers.
That's all great information we've got coming up, but for now, we're really excited to welcome Kristin Fox. Kristin's joining us today to tell us all about the Hangout Group. Kristin's a business owner, she's a wife, she's a mom of 4, and she saw a need for a service here in the Cincinnati area and decided to take that leap of faith and start her own business. And we're really excited to have her join us today and learn all about it.
Thanks. Hi, ladies.
Yeah,
Hi.
welcome, Kristin. Thanks.
Kristin, thanks for joining us today. Hey, why don't we start by you just sharing a little bit about yourself?
Sure. I'm a mom of 4. I live in Mason.
And that keeps you busy.
Yes, yeah.
Yep.
I live in Mason. I work my day job as a skills trainer or job coach for Easter Seals. I'm in a program called Project Search,
Okay.
which is for young adults with disabilities that defer their diploma after high school and do this internship program. And my program is actually at the Warren County Government Center.
Okay.
And it's on the school year calendar, and it's through Warren County Career Center.
Okay.
So
So you said your day job.
my day job, yes.
By day.
Yes.
And then by night.
And then by night, I did see a need for, especially coming out of COVID, some social and life skill groups for young adults with disabilities to get out of the house. It is hard. They hear their friends and their peers going to football games and doing different activities and parties, especially as we get into high school. And that's not always doable for some of these kids. And they have just as much excitement and need to be around people as everybody does, right? So I decided to kind of start a social group.
That's amazing. So you said kids with disabilities.
Correct.
Define that a little bit, like.
The kids that I have catered to and noticed that there was a really big need are individuals that have found their language, have found their individual personalities, are able to care for their personal needs, definitely have unique hobbies or their own things that they can bring to the table and in conversations with peers. So I basically will have started. It's been a little bit different from what I originally started.
As most things are, right?
Yes, it's evolved, I guess, huh?
Yeah, so I originally started this summer with what we called Walk and Talk.
So when did you start the group? Was it
it was in May.
Oh, okay.
So we started in May.
Okay.
And it was about 6 kids, 5 or 6 kids, and we'd meet up at a local park. Talk, I set my watch for a goal and walk for an hour. And during that time, I would start with maybe what's your favorite color? Or let's all name something that starts with the letter B. And as we're walking, we all are developing the conversation skills that we've been lacking due to COVID. Or our phones all these things. And it started to, more kids were coming, and I was doing it 4 days a week. And we went from 1 mile in an hour to almost over 3. And everybody's feeling good. And so it just kind of started to snowball. And then we did a couple more activities in the evenings. Talent show, which was super fun.
Okay. Is that open to the public?
It is on YouTube, and it is really funny.
That's fun.
Yeah, they got a few good ones of me doing some Little Mermaid. And we did some more serious things we had the Mason Police Department come in and talk to the kids, young adults, about internet safety and just different walking through the park and who you talk to and strangers, no safe adult asks a kid to help them.
Gotcha.
right? You know,
Right.
so we did that.
Yeah.
We did a game night, which was fun.
That was fun.
And then it just kind of, we did a party planning, which was three sessions. And we talked about, what do you do first? You plan, why are you having the party?
Oh my gosh. Those
What do you need to do at the party? Yeah.
Yeah.
What do you, and
These
so
are
it was
great
awesome.
topics.
Yeah. And then the next one, we built our, what we're going to eat, who we're going to invite, who's going to be in charge of decorating. And then the last one, we actually had the party and they chose a fiesta. So we had a piñata and that was really cool. So it just kind of keeps developing into.
So is there a focus on more of a physical disability, emotional or mental disability, or just a mixture of all of it?
That's a really good question, because there are amazing programs out there. There's, for individual maybe disabilities, very individualized, which is amazing. But my group, and what I'm finding is, especially as you get into the teenage years, some of these kids have done really good activities with the kids in their own foundations and with their own disabilities. And they've developed a really good relationship, but we need to spread out, right? We need to start being able to learn communication skills with everybody, not just people we're comfortable with. And so our group is open, like I said, to anybody with any disabilities. That our biggest thing is they have to be able to really take care of their personal needs, because I'm not qualified to, be able to do any of those kinds of things. But it's been amazing. I mean, the changes I've seen in these kids, and we're now a group, we're now a family, whether we're the same age, in the same school district, which we had people from Hamilton and
all over Cincinnati.
All over.
So that's a good point, is that you don't have to be
in Warren County.
In Warren County or within, a certain.
I love that openness, right?
Yeah.
Where it's really just the connection.
Yeah.
That is the most important part.
Right.
Of kids within our community.
And it was neat because Loveland is either one of the school's homecomings was early.
Okay.
And I think it was Lebanon was before. And so one of the kids in our group was nervous and he's going to go by himself. And I was like, oh, you're going stag, buddy. Like, that's what it's called. And he's like, yeah, I'm going stag. And he had so much fun.
Yeah.
But then 2 weeks later was the Mason homecoming and the girls were a little nervous. And so he was able to offer to them the Wednesday before
some tips,
how fun it was. And he danced and this is what it's like. And, and it was just that it's going to be okay.
Yeah.
And it wasn't a parent, it wasn't a para, it wasn't a teacher.
Yeah. And that's different. That's a great point, is that this is a group that isn't, as a parent, you do as much as you can to obviously help prepare your child, but your kid is going to interact differently with its peers than it would with.
Yeah. And that's part of that. That's so funny,
And I'm thinking, what an experience where most people have anxiety of going to their first homecoming dance, because it's an unknown and it's an unknown for everybody. And so it's nice to have that group to share with.
Right. And it did provide a lot of independence and we do get nervous and they were just, it's just so happy and had such a great time. So that was a really neat experience.
You mentioned kids of all ages. So where does it start? Where does when we started, what are your age?
Yeah, I was.
And do you group them?
I do. So I was 15 to 20.
Okay.
And now we are 4 to 32.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah, there is such a need. And we really do try to group the kids within a 2 to 3 year. But what I'm seeing is, just like with everything, all of us tend to gravitate who are people that like the same thing we like, or just personalities get along.
Okay.
So in the beginning, my website, and when people would join, they could just go on and say, oh, she's 11, she likes cooking. It's not like that anymore. I do that for some of the things, but I really would rather prefer to get to know the kids, talk to the parents and see, and then I might say, I know that he really likes bowling and he really likes Legos and she likes eating out to dinner. So we're going to do a bowling, Lego, going out to dinner, trying new foods group.
So your groups and your discussions and your activities are pretty much evolving as you're getting to know your kids in the Hangout group. Yeah, it's pretty awesome.
It is pretty neat. It's pretty neat to see what everybody's interests are, and some kids are like, yes, let's go try Thai food. And some kids are like, I'm having cheese pizza.
I'm
Keeping
keeping
my
it,
chicken fingers.
keeping it simple.
Yeah.
French fries.
Yeah.
So I'm going to back us up just a little bit. So obviously you saw a need. Is there a story behind that, or is it through what you do with the Easter seals?
A little bit of both. My
Okay.
oldest son, Ben, has cognitive disabilities and delays. So I kind of watched this progression of preschool, kindergarten, everybody gets invited to birthday parties and everybody's kind of included. And then it's a natural progression. You start going your own ways.
Mm-hmm.
And there's not really a safe outlet for a lot of kids that just need a little extra help and a little bit. I mean, we're all scared. I mean, I can remember my 15-year-old when the first time in 6th grade he wanted to watch the Culvers. I was like, oh,
I hear you.
I'm following him in the car. So
those firsts are always
and
scary.
so there are kids that do have an aide at school and do need at least some supervision. And so that's where I was seeing Ben, wanting to go out, wanting to go to the football games and
wanting to be social,
wanting to do the school events or just going to the movies. And going with your mom.
I was going to say, not always taking mom with you.
No. So I just wanted to do that. And that's kind of how it's evolved. And even like friends that I have and taking their daughters to go for a walk, and then all of a sudden I'm like, hey, we should be doing this a lot. Like, these kids are having fun.
So this was just an idea that evolved. It wasn't necessarily something that you created because you modeled it after another program.
No, this is definitely, this is like,
that's awesome.
This is like it's way more than I thought. And I think it's way more than my family thought because I've got my husband helping me, my kids are here, they're doing stuff. We do add what's called a peer coach in, which I think is the most important part about what this program kind of was built on and does is that I try to have kids that are the same age that come in. They are part of the group. They're not facilitating, they're not running, they're not being bossy, but if Chris reaches over and pinches me or is eating with her mouth open, and a teacher or a mom's like, that's disgusting and that's not nice. She might not listen. But if
we know,
if you have someone that's your peer, and they're like, dude, that's really uncool. I don't do that. You'd be amazed how much,
it makes an impact, a different impact, I guess is what you're saying.
Yeah, and because people always will say, and I'm sure boys, they always, they don't take a shower, they smell, and everyone's like, wait till they get a girlfriend, because the second they show up smelling, you're gonna know because they're showered and shaved and they smell good. And it's kind of the same thing, right?
Cologne.
Yeah.
The hair is done, the gel.
So the peer modeling is a big deal. It's pretty interesting to watch happen.
How do you join the group?
Well, we have our website. People usually will go on, read a little bit about us, put some information in, send me an email. Like I said, sometimes you can go ahead and just sign up. We have cookie decorating. Anybody can come to cookie.
So there are different activities that are online.
Yep.
And they can just sign up for those individual activities.
Correct.
Okay.
So easy ones, one time, a good way for kids to get their feet wet kind of and parents to feel
just
okay.
to kind of come to one session maybe.
Lego night. We tried to do Lego Masters and I thought it was great. I had like all this stuff and I was going to do all these, and the kids were like, all they wanted to do was like set up the guys, and they're like, this one goes for $9.95 online. I was like, this one's $20. So my whole blow up concept is gone. But they had a great time.
But right.
So
it evolved to whatever they wanted it to evolve into. Yeah.
What direction it goes.
Yeah. So the one
it's pretty fluid.
The one night a week or the one time you want to join it, come in, really helps us see the kids' personality, see what fits, see if we get along, makes the parents feel more comfortable. Like, okay, I'm leaving my kid with a crazy lady, but it's gonna work. It's gonna be okay, I swear. And then once that happens, we do 6-week class groups.
Okay.
Yeah. And then I try to either
6-week sessions of different activities, like the things you were describing
right
earlier.
So and we always usually do dinner if it's over. I mean, after school especially, you can get 5 to 7 or 6 to 8. They're starving, and it's hard for parents. We always do a dinner. Plus,
Can I
Yeah,
send
right. Can I
my
pick you
home?
But it's funny because my husband said, what? Because I said, oh, maybe we shouldn't do that, because it takes up a lot of time. And he said, but what social event really do any of us go to?
That doesn't surround
Food or drink,
right?
or entertaining or manners.
No, that's a perfect
And it
point.
is part of the social world,
Absolutely.
right?
Yeah.
It's no matter whether it's in a work environment, a school environment,
just entertainment,
outside environment.
It's social, and we all love to gather around food. Yeah.
And you'd be surprised. I mean, there's older kids that are like, will you help me? Nope, get your food. It's so funny. And they're just like, what do you mean you're not making my plate? Like, and so they're learning or pushing somebody out of the way, and somebody else like, I was in line first, And so there is that whole manners piece that goes along with it. And then we usually will have, like I said, we'll do something on friendship, and maybe we'll play a friendship Jeopardy game or different things. And if the conversation ends up talking about what we're going to have what we're going to dress up like Halloween for the whole hour, you know what? If it's age appropriate, if it's kind and everybody's participating, then who cares what we're talking about? Because that's the point.
Right. Yeah.
So that's pretty cool. And then we have an older kids group right now that just started, and it's once a week. And I listened to them. They've been with us for a little while. And so we went to a main event on Saturday, and that was really fun.
Yeah.
We want to go to a hockey game, so we're going to do a hockey game.
Oh, fun.
And then these are some of the kids that are adventurous with their food and some of them that are not.
Okay.
So we are going to Soho, so they can sit and do the hibachi.
The hibachi.
Yeah.
There's 8 of them, so I think that'll be really fun.
Yeah.
I forgot. They wanted a shrimp oil.
Okay.
So we're going to do that at my house. We'll do that outside.
I was going to say, like, here you are, you've got a main location here in Mason, but it sounds like you take, you do a lot of offsite type of things too.
Both things. And that was my original idea, was we would always go somewhere. But then I started noticing, like, they just want to hang out.
Yeah.
So they want to sit with their friends and play Uno. Is really heated around here if you play Uno. And so it's becoming more, and we're getting ready to get into a bigger space where they can just come. And we can sit for 2 hours.
You've already outgrown.
I have outgrown
your initial space.
That is so, which is so exciting.
Time. Yeah. And it's amazing. And did you start out with the Hangout Group? Because it truly, really is a Hangout Group. Is that what the name was?
Yeah, that was the name from the beginning. My company's name is You've Got This.
Okay.
LLC, and that was kind of for me.
Yeah.
Like, you can do this.
You got this,
Kristen.
Yeah.
And the Hangout Group was it started with the one age group, and now we're at the second age group, and we're at the third age group, and the adults, I can't even. They're just so funny. We're having such a good time with the older kids too. With the 24 and up, is fun. So
I'll be honest, my head is probably.
There's a lot, you guys.
Well, you can usually tell when I'm thinking as having a conversation with somebody, and so I'm going to apologize if I'm doing that, because I have a person in the back of my head. They're a college student, lives on their own, but what they're lacking is
the socialization. Yeah.
And so I'm processing all that, because I'm sitting here going, oh my gosh, this person loves to play games. And, might get them a little far from where they go to college, but engaged, and
in a different way.
And the quote, to hang out.
And that's what it is. Everybody just wants to be and not micromanaged. I mean, we have rules which aren't up because and the kids made them, and they're really funny. I mean, they're good, but there's a huge, they're 6 feet by 7 feet. I got it printed out. So we're going to put them on the wall.
They wrote up the rules.
But they did. And one of them was so funny. It's like, no medication, don't take medication without adult. I'm medicine here, but okay, you know what? But you got it. But it was funny because some of them were, and I thought, I just note to self, don't maybe give them options to pick. But yeah, so but everybody wants to hang out, and nobody wants to be micromanaged. And unfortunately, a lot of kids, especially kids with disabilities, have to be at school. They have an aide. They don't get a minute to themselves, and so that's the premise of this is come in, hang out, and I'll correct you. Don't get me wrong. Like I'm not going, but if you're happy and you're doing the right thing, there's no reason for any correction.
Right. I just love this.
Yeah,
it is.
It's fun.
That's what I said. It's really unique, and I often wondered if you modeled it after something else. But it sounds like it's just evolved and taken on a life of its own.
It's been really neat,
which is super cool to hear about. So I guess you were talking about different programs. It sounds like you can a la carte type things, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay, so you can come as often as you want, or how does that work?
I mean, the 6-week groups, I have everybody sign up for the 6-week sessions.
Okay, so there are
because they do kind of build on each other.
Okay.
But as far as, so we're doing over Christmas break, we're going to do 4 days that first week and 4 days the second week. And that's going to be a little bit more like, you just want to come one day, that's fine. Or you want to come at night or day. And so that's kind of a work in progress. The other day, everybody had off from school. A lot of school districts had off. And I had off from work and I was going to come in and I thought, why not? So then I sent on a thing, bring your lunch, come hang out. Those are going to be the days that you could just look ahead on the calendar and say, you know what? And actually I had a mom, what's Saturday? Homecoming. It was the 16th. I had a mom of our group and she called me the Tuesday before and she said, we're going to a wedding and his brother's going out to do something fun. Do you mind putting something on the calendar? And it was just as that easy of, hey, we're going to have a guys' night. Who's in? And of course, 2-3 hours on a Saturday, everybody comes in and hangs out. We had pizza and we just threw that on. So the a la carte thing is great, especially if kids are so busy with other things and parents are busy and siblings are busy. We were talking about that earlier. So if you can't make it every 6 weeks, then maybe a Sunday afternoon or, let's do the holiday cookie.
And it is very personalized, it sounds like, for sure.
Definitely.
So how does the cost work?
The cost works by how many, I'm learning, because business and accounting is not my thing. So, how I'm trying to model is figuring out how many people are going to be there, how many participants are going to be there, because we do need to make sure we have enough staff. And right now, staff is like me, my husband, a lady that I work with. I have a Mason teacher. I have some really good adults. And then of course I have my peer coaches. So we need to make sure, I need to find out what my cost will be for my employees. And then the food, because I always have to have, there's food. And then whatever if we're going to be decorating cakes or going bowling. So I add that in.
Supplies or the activity.
So it really depends on the activity of what our fees are. And everyone is usually different. I am a vendor and I am now able to take county funds. So basically what that means is people can from the different counties boards of disabilities, could they pay me directly versus having the money to come out of their pocket and then be reimbursed. So Butler, Hamilton, Claremont, Warren County, I've gone ahead and taken care of that because it is a big weight on your shoulders when a lot of times we have doctor's bills and all these and therapies and all these things. And if you can use that money that's so graciously, so wonderfully provided from the county, and not have to be reimbursed 6 or 8 weeks later, your kids still get to do something fun and not, affect your wallet as much. So
yeah,
absolutely.
It sounds like there's something for everyone.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, and different cost ranges as well.
Definitely.
Yeah.
Perfect. Is there anything we haven't asked or
I don't know
that
I feel like
and I have no off the wall put you on the spot questions this week.
How about future plans for growth? I mean, I know you're already grown from this space into your next space in a very short period of time, but do you have an idea of what you'd like
vision?
What you would like
What's
this to look like? What would you like to see this?
My original vision, and I've is that it was going to be more like a house with a backyard that has like the driveway is big enough for a basketball hoop and a garden, so we can talk about gardening and we can go into having like a big kitchen in there where we're learning nothing fancy. I'm not talking gourmet, but let's talk about grilled cheese and the different things. Let's all learn how to make those things. And so that's my big vision. But again, what I'm seeing is that's what I feel like everybody needs. But what I'm learning, that's not what's needed. Everybody just wants to have friends, just wants to hang out, and wants to get that text when you're about to be in the school play that says, good luck.
Yeah.
You know, and have those people cheering for you on your side. That is because they want to, not because, you know.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
Yes.
So I think it's going to evolve how it is, and I have to kind of remember it's not just about me. I have to watch what everybody wants and evolve to what's going to make this successful for our members.
Yeah, and that is, I mean, just that in and of itself, to be able to pivot, you know, you started with something in mind and you were able to pivot several times and really cater to the group, I think is what's going to make the Hangout group, you know, hang out for a really long time.
Yeah,
I'm
that
sure.
Yeah.
So thanks for joining us today, Kristen. We
Thank
really
you.
loved hearing all about it. Can you tell our viewers and our listeners how to find you?
The best way is probably through our website, which is you'vegotThisLLC.com.
Okay.
We are on Facebook. I do have a Facebook page and a Facebook group.
Like.
Yes.
Definitely.
We like
yes.
follows and likes.
And I do have Instagram. However, I'm again not savvy.
We
get this.
We always talk about the same thing as business owners ourselves, right? And we started our podcast here, and we all have to navigate our way through and start somewhere. And we really commend you for starting this business.
Thanks, guys. Thank you.
Yeah, that sounds like it was, you know, much needed.
Well, I appreciate you having me. So thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks for joining us. And we want to give a final shout out to our small business that we're featuring today. It's called the Hangout Group, and we thank Kristen for joining us. We love our community, and we have such a passion for all these small businesses in our community, and Kristen sure does have a passion for what she does.
Yes, I love people who find a need and have the courage to go with it and make something of it. So that is wonderful.
I love that. You're right. Courage. It's a good word. So so taking that leap of faith and just, you know, seeing it evolve to where she's come today is really pretty amazing.
Yeah.
So thanks, Kristen.
So speaking of courage, it takes courage to sell your home.
It
does. One of the important pieces, what a segue.
And we can help with that. So we're really flipping topics.
But part of the buying and selling process is the whole issue of disclosures. And what is it that a seller has to share with their potential buyers? And part of it is dictated in Ohio. We have what's called the Ohio Residential Property Disclosure, which if you've sold a house or if you've bought a house, you've seen it, where it's several pages long and the seller lists things like, you know, I don't know, I had water in my basement and here's what we did to fix it, and all sorts of really, really juicy, good information.
Juicy, good information. Yeah. So it's a required form within the state of Ohio. And initially it can be a little intimidating, I think, for our seller clients when we hand it to them and say, you've got to fill this out. They're like, what do I do? And can you help me? Can you do it for me? And the answer to those questions are, well, yeah, I can help you, but no, I can't do it for you. It's something that has to be filled out specifically by the seller. And it's not quite as intimidating once you really dive into it. There's some very basic questions, really, you know, about water supply, about,
and it's just really things that a buyer's not going to know. They you know, it's quote, as a seller you need to disclose latent material defects, and there's a little subjectivity to what a latent material defect is, but items that are important to know, right?
Yeah.
Exactly. Great example. I've been showing homes all over, some homes from the 1880s over the past couple days. And, you know, on the property disclosure, when they said that the elbows of the plumbing were wrapped in asbestos insulation, my client was actually, you know, they were able to look at that and they were able to do their research and then fully comfortable with it in their situation. But it gave them the opportunity to do their due diligence in purchasing a home.
Right, exactly. And it is in no means an inspection. So the buyer would do their own inspection, but it is a way for the the seller to identify to the potential buyer all of the, and I won't even call them defects, but anything.
Here's what you can't see.
Material with the home that can't be seen, those latent things that aren't visible to basically the naked eye, right?
Right.
Yeah.
Exactly. And, we sometimes get the question of, there's nothing wrong with my house.
Yeah.
There's never been an issue with my house. Do I need to fill out the property disclosure? Well, I'm going to tell you, yes, you need to fill out the property disclosure. There's a couple people who don't need to, like if it's a new construction, then there's not one that needs to be done for new construction. If it's a court ordered, so like a foreclosure home is not going to have a property disclosure. Somebody who's buying it, who's lived in the property for over a year. So if somebody's rented a property and now they're purchasing it, they don't need to do
necessary.
No.
But in most other instances, you're going to be filling out a property disclosure form, and I'll tell you one that I think some people don't necessarily realize is when we're working with investors who have rehab properties. I don't know if it's just been a lackadaisical sort of general practice, or if it really just has changed and evolved. But an investor absolutely needs to fill out a property disclosure form, even though he hasn't lived in the property.
Correct. And sometimes we'll see a property disclosure and it says, I have no knowledge, I never lived in the property. Well, you do have knowledge. And if you have knowledge, you are going to have to disclose.
Right.
And you know what? Think of it from the other perspective. If you have a buyer coming in on a property you've flipped and you are able to say that, I don't know, the foundation had cracks and you not only fix them, you fix them correctly.
Yeah, this is how it was taken care of. This is what we observed. This is what we did to remedy it. And there's been no problem, since then. So you do want to make sure anything that you have addressed while you're renovating that property is something that comes up and is labeled on the property disclosure form.
Yeah. I have seen several recently where there's nothing disclosed and it's been totally renovated, including mold remediation.
Yeah.
Well, if there was no mold disclosed, why did it need mold remediation?
Yeah, and it's those types of things that really make you question, or the buyers question, what has not been, what's been hidden, what's concealed, what are they not telling me?
Right.
Why aren't they telling me? And that causes more of a problem than anything else. I'll tell you, when I look at a disclosure, no matter what, and it's completely clean and there's nothing on it, is oftentimes the buyer will speculate, because at some point most homeowners have had something that is a disclosure issue. It's sometimes, not always for sure.
And that is true.
Yeah,
that is true. There are instances where there's not anything that needs to be disclosed on the disclosure, but really anything that affects the material value of the home must be disclosed.
The material value of the home. So, seeing that it's October and Halloween, and we've got ghosts and goblins. What about that whole, paranormal thing? How do you feel about that?
Well,
I saw a ghost in my house. Do I need to disclose that?
And
there's a lady that lives in the attic.
It depends. Is there really a lady who lives in the attic?
I hear the chains.
You've been reading too many books, girl.
So what does the Ohio law say about paranormal activity and disclosures?
And my source on this is Zillow, but Zillow has said that they've done a state-by-state analysis, and there really are no states that require you to share any paranormal activities. But there's all that subjectivity of, I as a buyer or I as a seller may not believe in it, or it may not matter to me, but it could perhaps matter to that buyer. And so it's that buyer's perspective that makes it a material defect, a latent material defect.
Well, and maybe not a defect, but it makes it material information, right?
Correct.
right? So that material, what's material to one is subjective to the other. So I guess what you're saying is, even though there is no requirement, when all else fails, you just disclose.
Yeah, and as a real estate agent, both as a professional and also my personal opinion is always disclose. You're better, and I love knowledge and information anyway, but let that other person make that decision of
Right.
how they want to proceed.
Yeah, that's a good point, because if it comes down to a court of law,
Yeah.
What is material is going to be decided by a judge and not necessarily what you deem to have been material. So don't put yourself in that situation. If there's a question about what to disclose and what is a disclosure issue,
And
I would
every
err on
once
the
in
side
a
of
while,
caution
I've not
and
had this
disclose.
happen, but the question gets asked about what if there's a suicide or a murder in a home. And
Yeah,
that,
those things happen too, don't they?
they do.
Unfortunately.
And you know, again, we can't make that decision. It's certainly not something that would be disclosed on a residential property disclosure.
No, it's not something that you want to, there's not a question on the form here that I'm holding up if you're a YouTube watcher. Asks that question specifically. Absolutely not. But I'll tell you this, if a seller, my client, has made it known to me, then I now know.
Mm-hmm.
And that's not information that I can keep from a potential buyer either, right? So it becomes a liability for the agent as well as the seller to make those things be known to the buyer.
And Dina, you bring up a good point in general. If you are a seller and you ask one of us, hey, should I disclose that I had, I don't know, a fire in the house in 2017. Once you ask us, we're going to say disclose.
Yeah.
And, you know, because now we have knowledge too, and we will need to share that.
That's exactly right.
Yeah.
Well, when all else fails, disclose. I guess that's the moral of the story today.
Disclose. I know. And sometimes I hear people say, well, if it's something a neighbor could share, rather, it's better that somebody find out from the seller than
from the seller than from
a neighbor.
I thought you were going the opposite direction.
No.
Oh, gosh. They find out from the neighbor. We're just going to move out. We're going to sell the house, and we're going to hope it's all good.
I would hate for one of my buyers to find something out from a neighbor rather than the source. Be the source of the source, right? So
that's just
share. Let people make their own decisions.
Make their own decisions. That's exactly right. So yeah, that's, I guess that's pretty much sums it all up as far as, well, I would say sums it all up, but it leaves a lot of subjectivity too, right? When in doubt, have those conversations with your trusted realtor. They should be able to advise you and tell you exactly what it is that needs to go on the property disclosure form. Mm-hmm. And what it is that needs to be disclosed, but maybe the disclosure happens in another manner as well. So it doesn't all need to be disclosed on that residential form, but there are other ways that things.
There might be a time and a place for something that's not on the residential property disclosure. For example, a ghost in the house.
Like the paranormal ghost in the house. Right?
We may share that in a different fashion.
In a different way. Yeah, exactly. So anything else about disclosures?
No, if you have questions, we're happy to help. We are not attorneys though, so know that sometimes with a topic like this, we may refer you to consult an attorney. But we're happy to address those questions and get you the right direction.
And we are happy to help you with your selling needs. Anytime you'd like to reach out to us, we are here and we're available to you, and we welcome you to contact us.
So this is House and Home Chat, Real Estate Real Talk with Dina and Chris.
Thanks for joining us, everybody. Take care.
Bye.
Bye-bye.